Okay, welcome everyone. So happy to be here with you. So today, Michelle and I are going to share with you the 4 steps to inner radiance, or as I had previously called them, the 4 keys that unlock inner radiance. Because we all need to be inwardly radiant, which means, shining light, shining a bright light outside, which can draw back in special things to you, including clients and success and opportunities and just happiness, right? And so that's what these 4 steps are all about. So I'm going to share with you my take on them, but these are Michelle's framework. This is a special formula that she's created. So I really want to hear from her what she has to say. So Michelle, can you get us started with maybe even the conception of the 4 steps?
Yeah, so the 4 steps to inner radiance were a framework that came to me following a really long arc cycle of my own personal growth and personal development. And after I left my private practice in mental health, I received these 4 steps with the knowing and the understanding that these 4 steps had actually been what I was doing all along in my own personal growth, and then in the personal growth I've been doing with clients up until that point. So it was kind of a framework to explain what I had already been doing but didn't even know that I was doing. And what these 4 steps are is it's a clear, potent, and grounded framework to align you to the core and to the truth of authentically who you really are, and to allow you to rapidly align to your absolute highest potential. Another way that I call that is your glory, you and your full light, you and your full radiance, because it's from this place that abundance magnetizes toward you, that sales come to you, that your business plan and aligned action becomes clear. It all starts from our presence, and these 4 steps are designed to unlock that and to center you into the aligned truth of who you really are.
Amazing. So I know you all want more of this, and we can't wait to help you here. So Michelle, can you get us started with key number 1?
Yeah, so thank you, John. So key number 1 is loving self-acceptance. And with all of these keys, at first glance, especially if you're seasoned in personal growth and personal development, they might seem deceptively simple. They might seem so simple that first glance might feel like, gosh, I don't know if I'm going to get that much out of this, but I want you to really open your mind and to drop all of the expectations and just give yourself permission. We're going to sit with this concept of loving self-acceptance. Profoundly simple. Where in this moment are you not accepting? Accepting qualities or characteristics about yourself? Accepting feelings that might be coming up within you in response to external events or circumstances? Where are you not accepting of people around you? And what are those people mirroring back to you about the truth of who you are? Loving self-acceptance. And we can be like really aware of ourselves, and we can be really aware of what's going on within us, and we can accept, but the key here is really this loving presence with that. If we're not accepting with love, if we're not embracing with love, then it's empty, and it's hollow, and it's not aligned to that heart, right?
Yeah. So think about it like this. Let's just say that you were to receive instructions on how to find treasure, and like a map, but you had no idea where you were on the map, how to locate yourself on the actual map. Would that map be any good to you? Would you ever be able to find the treasure? No, right? You need to know where you're starting from in order to know how to apply the steps in the formula. And something that I came across a lot in my spiritual journey, I lived at a temple for 5 years. I was surrounded by other people who were doing the same and who were just so committed. I was around people, I still am, around people who are so committed to their growth, but finding obstacles, finding like, it's not working. Why is it not working? Like, this is all of our journey, right? We're like, why isn't this working better? And imagine, maybe you're already doing this, giving up most things in your life for the sake of your journey, and it's still not working the way you want it to go. Like, you're starting to question, like, why is it not working? Now, the problem is, a lot of times we apply spiritual instructions or business instructions or whatever, leadership instructions, we apply it to the idealized version of ourself and not to our actual self. We apply it to who we want to be and who we try to relate to ourselves as, but we don't apply it to who we actually are underneath, and so it doesn't touch that person. The actual place that we're at remains untouched. It's kind of guarded by ego in this case, or just an identity, right? It's guarded by pretending that we're somebody else. And so we don't touch it, and so that part doesn't transform. We take it with us, and we're applying instructions to ourselves superficially, in the sense. We're applying it superficially, which really means surface level. We're applying it to an ideal version, which is not even your true version. Why would instructions applied to a fictitious version of you make any difference in your life?
It's deep, right?
What happens if you have something authentic that needs some healing and help and needs to be addressed, but you never look at it and address it? It stays around, right? So this is why we need to get really honest with ourselves. We need to go deep and get authentic with ourselves. We need to see who are we really, and I know that comes along later in these steps, but we need to accept, we need to see ourselves for who we are and really accept it. Whatever you're seeing about yourself, any tendencies, any qualities, any ways of being, we can accept these without believing that they're permanent, right? If there's something that you're seeing that maybe you wish wasn't around forever, well, great. If you accept it, now it can pass. Accepting things allows them to pass through and to change forms, but resisting it keeps it around, okay? This analogy that I've given for this, which I made up, usually, you know, sometimes my own analogies aren't very good, but this one I've heard from people that it's a good one. Imagine a cat. You're holding a cat, a really angry cat, okay? And you're holding it at arm's length, like this. In other words, you resist it. And this cat's trying to scratch you. This is like a bad thing in your life or something that you're resisting, even like a quality within yourself. For example, at certain times in my life, I rejected my feminine side. At other times, I rejected my masculine side. At other times, I rejected my need to actually have like love and support and intimacy in my life. I thought I could get by without it. And maybe I rejected money, my need to make money in order to survive. Or maybe I rejected the self that was an astute leader. Or maybe I rejected a self that was, that just like was nourished through physical exercise. Or whatever, right? Like we reject these different versions of ourselves. Imagine that this is like rejecting the cat. It's something that we don't like about ourselves, and that's why it's
Black cat.
That's why it's the angry cat, right?
Yeah.
And so you're holding it at arm's length, which means you're rejecting it. But guess what? You're resisting. It's a resistance, and now this cat is in perfect striking distance to keep hitting you. It's gonna scratch your arms. It might get your face. It's gonna keep going. As long as you keep resisting it, you're keeping it in perfect striking distance. That's what you do to anything in life that you reject. You're keeping it right there to get you, and you never allow it to pass because you're holding it. You're actually holding it in place. You're holding it in striking place. Interesting, isn't it? That's not how it feels in the moment. In the moment, all these things that we reject, we feel like I'm protecting myself from them, but resistance to what is, how could that ever be beneficial? How could it ever be beneficial to resist what is? If it is, you know, we must accept it. We must accept it. So accepting it in this case means let go of the cat. And guess what? If you let go of the cat, it's going to take one more strike and it's going to run away. And this is what happens in our life when you actually accept these parts of yourself that you've been rejecting, your feminine side, your masculine side, the part of you that needs money. Maybe the part of you who wants to make an abundance of money. Maybe the part of you that wants a Lamborghini and you've been rejecting that side. Or the part of you that's actually a very astute, high-level leader, and you've been pretending that you're a follower, or whatever, right? Like as soon as you accept that side, it's a little bit uncomfortable in that moment. Yes, it's uncomfortable to integrate that, but once you do, it passes, right? The discomfort passes. It passes, and now it integrates. And this has been a very profound journey for me to learn to accept things. Acceptance is part of purification. You can do whatever type of practice to heal and purify, but if you don't accept what is in the moment, like what's coming to you in the moment is life and reality trying to help you to integrate and purify everything, right? You can purify, if you have faith and you accept what's happening, you can purify eons of negative karma in one moment, right? If you have faith and acceptance. So this is a beautiful practice. We all need to do it. And I would say, look within yourself to the parts of yourself that you've been rejecting specifically. It applies to activities outside yourself too. It applies to actions. Maybe you've been rejecting a certain type of work. Maybe it's like, I don't even want to go on the computer for even 1 hour a day, but yet I want an online business. Okay, well, maybe that's a good plan, but maybe you can just accept. And maybe once you accept it, a higher expression comes and you don't even need to anymore. But as long as you were resisting it, now it stays in the hopper as like a thing you need to do, and you're never at peace. The rejection is the opposite of this loving self-acceptance, right? Rejecting something, it's opposing reality. It's creating an opposition between what is happening and what you want to be happening. There's a tension and a stress in between what you want to be happening and what is happening, or who you are and who you want to be. There's a tension there, and that puts stress on us, right? It doesn't feel good, and we're always looking at that thing that we want or that we don't want, and we're never peaceful. So just let it all go. Just use this mantra: I accept. I accept. I accept. Like, why would you do anything else? It's actually there. It's presenting itself to you. Once it accepts, it can pass or integrate. Okay? So that's what I'd say about this topic of loving self-acceptance. If there is, I think this is the main point. There's more we could say about love and self-love, but I'd say this is the best place to start.
Yeah, and I think just understanding that it's the first step, right? And that many of us, we've worked with top healers, coaches, leaders, and one of the things that we found when people get to a certain point in their life where they've moved through a massive transformation, multiple massive transformations, and they're really ready to step out and be visible online, is that sometimes pride can take hold. We're feeling like maybe we're above some of the foundational pieces or the fundamental pieces. And again, it's like, it's not a judgment, but I just want to acknowledge that sometimes if we find ourselves even resisting this content or some of these points, like that can be an indicator that there's medicine here for us.
Another way to see if there's pride is to see if there's insecurity at other times. Because proud people are insecure, and insecure people are proud. So if you're ever insecure about your business ability or your leadership ability or your inner work ability or your ability to help clients, if you're ever insecure about any of those things, you probably at other times have a protective layer of pride that allows you to not feel insecure in that moment, but also it's an armor that prevents instructions from landing, okay? So we need to develop a different attitude, which is like an empowered coachability, an empowered openness to learn, where you're empowered, meaning you're not insecure, you're actually confident in your potential, but you're also open to learn new things. And this is a beautiful state to learn from. Okay.
I agree. Those are really beautiful points.
Thank you. Yeah, I like to think of pride as being like you're floating above a mountaintop, like you think you're at the top of a mountain, but that means there's nowhere else to go, right? But a humble, confident mind thinks that you're like towards the bottom of the mountain, which is a stable place to be, and you're only looking up. There's only one place to go, but up. Whereas pride comes before the fall. You can't go any higher when you're proud. So hopefully that answers the question of like, yeah, pride is just it's an inflated identity that protects you from growing, essentially. Okay, so let's go on to the next point. Michelle, what's key number 2, step number 2?
Yeah, so it's carve out your shadow. Carve out your shadow. So once we've loved and accepted what is in the first step, now there's room. Now there's room to be able to see and discern what is us and what isn't us. And so having an agreed upon understanding that we are love, that the core of us is love, and that as we awaken and as we step into higher levels of consciousness, we're in a process of remembering that. We're in a process of remembering our true potential, as John says, which is love. And so part of that unraveling is removing and clearing away everything that is not. There's a really powerful story that I received actually in a yoga video a long time ago. So, but what they spoke about was that there was a sculptor. There was a sculptor who would sculpt elephants. Actually, this is in India. And he would sculpt them out of solid pieces of stone. These extremely intricate and ornate elephants. And people would gather from across the land, from many miles away, to see him sculpting and to see him creating these elephants. And they asked him, how did you make these? How did you carve these exquisite sculptures? And the sculptor replied, it's really easy. I just carved away at everything that wasn't the elephant. And so we can begin to understand that when we carve out our shadow, we're not taking away anything that is us. We're just carving away at what isn't us so that we can reveal the truth. And Christine Marie Sheldon, who has a lot of abundance work on Mind Valley, one of the things that she says, and I love this, is that you can't erase truth. You can't clear truth. You can't carve out truth. And in the same way, we can't remove or shift or step out of anything that's actually true for us. And so it allows us, this distinction allows us to become empowered and clear in our inner work, knowing that you can't shift out of or clear away or peel away anything that's actually authentic to who you are.
I love that point that you just made from Christine Marie Sheldon. Yeah, sometimes as we're clearing and healing and whatever, we hang on to these pieces of ourself that we think are our true self to try to protect them and preserve them. But we should know that the more we clear and the more we let go, the closer to truth we come. The more we let go, the closer to truth we actually become. So it's okay to just get a clean slate and start from there. So I love and I wanted to support that point. Additionally, in order to to support you guys' process of letting go of everything that's not the elephant or letting go of everything that's not you, right? We want to be able to let go of everything that isn't us. And a good way to do that is to make sure we're identifying them correctly and we're labeling them correctly. So, for example, if you see any negative emotion at all within yourself, the habit for most people is to think, oh, I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm traumatized, whatever. But you can just think, it's not me. Just put a new, I see, there's anger arising in the mind, but it's not me, right? A little bit of greediness is arising in the mind, but it's not me, right? The mind is feeling disturbed. The mind is turbulent, not I'm disturbed, I'm turbulent, right? You don't need to take a passing emotion and crystallize it into an identity. Because once you create an identity out of it, now you can't let it go as long as you're believing it as you, right? Identities are, there's no need to do that. It's not a person, it's just a thought, right? A little bit of a stressful feeling is just a thought, it's just a feeling, right? You can, if you just let it go, it'll disappear pretty fast, just like a cloud disappears back into the sky, right? But what we do is a little bit of stressful feeling goes and we're like, and we label it me. I'm stressed, and now we turn it into a person, but now you can't drop it. Now you're holding it in by believing that it's you, it stays. And you live that day, I'm stressed, I'm having a bad day. No, you're not having a bad day. There's a little bit of uncomfortable feelings in the mind that you've turned into an identity. You've crystallized them. So instead, let them come and go and label them for what they really are. It's not me. It's not me. It's not me. That'll help you to let go of these things that are not you, as the sculptor carved away the rock that wasn't the elephant, if that makes sense. Okay?
And I love all of that. And again, like, what's the litmus test for what we let go of? And the truth is, it's anything that's not 100% pure love. Anything that's not 100% pure love in the now moment.
Yeah.
Right? Anything. So that could be you're driving and all of a sudden you're like remembering something from like 3rd grade and it just seems kind of positive, but it's nostalgic. That's not pure love in the now moment.
Nostalgia is a negative emotion.
Yeah.
Just to make that clear.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a sticky mind that pulls you out of the present, as you're saying, and makes you feel sad for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
It's stuck on things that don't exist anymore. It's gone. But it gets stuck to untruths.
So pure love, again, this idea of pure love, does it hold up to this litmus test? Is this pure love? And if it's not, you can let go of it. And if it's not, you can let go of it. And if you need help understanding, and anything that's not pure love, what's it going to do? It's going to disturb your mind. It's going to interrupt a sense of clarity. It's going to interrupt momentum. If you have momentum, it's going to kill your momentum. It's going to take your consciousness away from what you're trying to do. These are all indications. And so what we can do is we can learn some basic techniques to purify these thoughts, attitudes. Another complementary way to say it would be energy that's trapped in the body, right? These are all different ways to kind of say the same thing. And so we want to purify, and we want to always intend to purify, and this is a little nugget I've learned along the way, thinking of Lisa Marie, purify at the absolute root cause, level, and layer. If you're going to set the intention to purify something or clear something or shift something, always say to yourself, I intend to clear this at the absolute root cause, level, and layer. This will help you make sure that you're not just superficially chipping away at just the top level of something and setting a correct intention for purification.
Just to add to that, when we do this, having an intention to purify at this root cause level layer, combined with acts of service towards others or any positive action, is an actual way to purify it. So we must combine this intention to purify with acts of service or any positive practice. It could be a spiritual practice. It could be acts of service towards a divine force that you love, such as God. It could be acts of service in faith. It could be acts of service towards fellow humanity. I would recommend doing both at different times. And when you're purifying, if you're purifying negative actions done towards other people, you do service towards other people in order to purify that. And if you've done negative things towards yourself and other holy beings and holy objects, then you have to combine your intention to purify with acts of service and surrender and faith towards holy objects, such as whoever you have faith in at this time, such as Jesus or God or your spiritual guides or enlightened beings or whoever it is for you. Okay, so acts of service and faith combined with this intention to purify actually purifies it. It like pulls the weed out, it pulls the seed out. The seeds of our negative actions are lingering in our root consciousness, and they are obstructing our spiritual progress and material progress right now. And when they ripen as immense suffering, sometimes for thousands and millions of years. Okay? So you don't want them to ripen, true, but also while they're there, unripened, they're still obstructing our progress spiritually. They're obstructing our ability to see truths. They're obstructing our ability to have pure intentions. They're obstructing good things from ripening to us. They're just blocking. It's like having all these stones, poisonous stones in a garden when you're trying to grow precious seeds in that same garden. It's just blocking the growth. Okay, so that's part of purification. There's other pieces too. We must regret the negative action. So I like to infer, based on the suffering that's coming or the blockage that we are experiencing, we can start to develop some inference of what the negative actions we must have done to cause this. So if you're experiencing poverty, you must have contributed to other people experiencing poverty, right? Either by stealing or just preventing them from receiving, or stopping your own self from giving, things like this. You know, I'm not going to go into detail right now, but the main point is develop regret for negative actions that feel related to the thing that you're purifying. And that regret, again, starts to pull out these negative seeds. The regret combined with acts of service, combined with the intention to purify, combined with the promise to never do it again, those are the actual pieces to purify. You actually need all 4 of those pieces. The promise to not do it again, regret, acts of service with the intention to purify. That all together purifies all the pieces of our negative karma, which some people call it negative energy. You can call it whatever you want, but those 4 together purify it. So that's a very detailed practice of purification. I'm not going to go into right now, but just take from this. I'm putting out a buffet item for you, and just take what you want and leave the rest behind. That's always the way. You know, I'm a little bit eccentric. I'm not a normal kind of person, right? And my background is different than most of the people's. I'm not expecting everyone to take everything that I offer, but I'm just going to lay out some buffet items, and Michelle is doing this too, and you're free to take what you want and leave the rest behind, and enjoy as much as you like of the things that you like. But you don't have to feel implied to try all of it, and I don't have to feel like you have to try everything I give you, so I can just put out all the stuff that I think that you're going to love. So that's what this is. You can take what you want, leave the rest behind, and I suggest please practice this or any other style of purification as a means of carving out your shadow. And while you're going throughout the day, be very vigilant in labeling emotions, not me, not me, not me, not me. It's not a person, it's just a thought. It's just a feeling, and the negative ones are certainly not part of your true nature. Okay? I'm gonna mic drop on that one.
I love that. And just to kind of piggyback and add a couple more options as well, Poco Ono is another series of mantras that's extremely purifying for the aura and for any blockages that you might be dealing with, which is where you say the 4 key words: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And those 4 phrases in any order, and you just repeat them to yourself, and you'll find that this sequence has a very purifying effect on the mind and the body, and it can help you actually pull up blockages just in the same way as what John's saying.
When you do it with the intention to purify.
When you do it with the intention to purify. And the other piece as well is that today, for the rest of your life, you can make a decision that anything negative that you're feeling is simply just your body, mind, spirit just trying to clear something. Anytime you feel anything negative, it's actually just you trying to clear something, right? Because when you're so stationed securely in the identity of who you are, the truth of what these negative emotions are is extremely evident. It's extremely evident. And so today can be the first day of the rest of your life, if you haven't already made this decision, that you can just understand that anything that isn't pure love is simply just coming up to be witnessed, to be released in whatever way, shape, or form. Yeah.
All right, so I'm thinking this might be good for this video, and now we're gonna do part 2 with the other 2 steps of these 4 steps to inner radiance. Okay, so I hope you enjoy applying these and practicing them. Anything else, Michelle, for their integration purposes?
No, I think this should be enough for you guys to really get started, get your teeth sunk in to these concepts, and we can't wait to see and hear how they're supporting you.
Awesome, thank you so much.